Not Your Mother's Radio has a very special guest today. Jessica Lee Morgan is a wholehearted singer-songwriter who doesn't beat around the bush. She's been raised on rock and folk by legendary parents, Mary Hopkin and Tony Visconti, and writes songs that reflect her upbringing and jobs in the real world. As happy in a tiny club or a large theatre, she performs live with her acoustic guitar, percussion strapped to her army boots, and partner Christian Thomas on bass. Jessica's released 4 albums, all recorded wherever her studio happens to be: Boat, Campervan, Cider Farm, Scenic, Viewpoint on the A470. With Christian at the controls. The latest is Forthright, released in June 2020. They have been released on their own label, Space Records. She plays 12-string, saxophone, percussion and vocals in the Bowie supergroup Holy Holy with her father Tony Visconti and Spiders from Mars drummer Woody Woodmansey. They've toured the UK, Canada, Europe, and Japan. In the USA, as part of a 9-week tour, they played Carnegie Hall and Radio City along with such stars as Debbie Harry, Robin Hitchcock, Perry Farrell, Cyndi Lauper, and Ann Wilson. Very often Jessica shared the support slot with her singer-songwriter-composer brother, Morgan Visconti. She's also sung on his album, Ride. So after this song by Jessica we will get the show started. Stay safe, my friends.
Everywhere, will it go away? Take what you need, get more along the way. Here we go again, another stop and start. Where do we go? Hope it's not too far. I can't remember where I've been, what I'm supposed to do, who I should have seen. Every time I wake up I don't know what's out the window. We're on the road. When do we check out? What's the Wi-Fi code? I can hear you shout. Who's that man? Who's that woman? Where are we now? Who am I talking to? Each week a different place where we don't belong. It's all a Russian race, and we feel so wrong. I can't remember who I am.
Who am I?
When I wake up, where I am.
Where am I?
Every time I wake up, I don't know what's out the window. We're on the road again. We're on the road deadline missed. I live in a hinterland, unable to commit to plan, destined to flake. Tell me something, is it worth it? Is this the life I'm supposed to have? Or did I miss the last bus home? Someone else's life I follow. Every time I wake up I don't know what's out the window. Every time I wake up I don't know what's out the window. Every time I wake up I don't know what's out the window. We're on the road again. We're on the road again. We're on the road again. We're on the road again.
afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Not Your Mother's Radio podcast, featuring the illustrious Elliot Goldstein and the equally, well, slightly less illustrious Jim McCarthy. Today, we are going to interview and talk to a wonderful singer-songwriter called Jessica Lee Morgan. And just a bit of history here. Jessica is the daughter of Tony Visconti, music producer. I don't think he needs much introduction, but he's worked with The Move, T-Rex, Mark Bolan, David Bowie, Thin Lizzy, and many, many more. And her mother is Mary Hopkins, who was one of the first signees to Apple Records, if I'm correct, back in the 60s, and who had hits with Those Were the Days, Tema Harbour, and other things. So she comes from an illustrious musical background and parentage, and personally through a friend of mine called Wesley McGugan, who is a member of the PRS, which I'll ask Jess about in a minute. And that's where I first met her, in Wesley's studio when we were working together, me and Wesley. So Jess, lovely to see you again.
And
since
you too.
We saw you at the Delaware Pavilion with your dad. Holy, was it called?
Holy, yes. Yep.
Holy, yeah. He was out playing bass with that band. And it's great to see you again. How are you, Jess? What's happening in the world of singer-songwriters at the moment? What is it like to be a musician in these bizarre COVID-19 times?
I don't think it's any more bizarre than any other time being a musician, really.
Yeah.
We've my partner Christian and I, we've never been busier. We've been on a world tour. We've been putting out albums, and so yeah, it's been very, very productive. And I think musicians are always very adaptable. So.
Mm-hmm. When you say your partner Christian, you've been on a world tour, you're talking about a virtual world tour or an actual world tour?
It was a virtual tour, but it felt incredibly real. We toured the time zones of the world. We started in San Francisco and ended up in Edmonton, Canada. So we did each show at 7 p.m.
How many dates did you do?
24. We played in some very out of the way places, all fully researched, real venues. And of course, we broadcast from our home hub. But it felt very, very real.
From where we're speaking now, yeah.
Yes, yeah. My world stage here.
That's really brilliant. It's nice and it's lovely. It's can you tell us a bit about growing up in a family in which maybe Tony wasn't so well known in the foreground then, but your mother certainly was. What was it like for you as a child? Being born into music, not being dipped into it, being born into it. How did it feel? What can you remember about that? Must have been very intriguing, to say the least.
Well, you don't know as a child, do you? You accept what's normal. It's just your normal, isn't it? So it was. I guess that's possibly what makes me adaptable now. So there were always friends popping in and making music, and then whenever we anything interesting, we had a microphone pointed at us, or a tape recorder, or loads of photographs. Both keen photographers, my parents, and we were always creating and singing and whatever. But it was just normal, really. What can I say? Mm-hmm. It's only when you get to school and everybody's going around saying, in French, we have to say what your parents do. My father's a banker, my mum's an architect, and my mum's a famous singer, and my dad's a famous record producer. And they probably thought I was a spoilt brat. And that's when you know you're different. It
was the glamour profession, I guess. It was certainly still the same way as it was in the 60s, 70s, and possibly 80s. When did you? Obviously, I believe some of these qualities and abilities are passed through genetically through the family, obviously. So you have a dad who's worked with very high-end musicians and producing, and also kind of changing the way production's seen and adding beautiful strings to pieces and actually adding music to already existing songs. When did you first start becoming aware that you wanted to write material yourself, And how did that gestate for you?
I think it was probably fairly organic. I've found some old memorabilia, and there's, songs by Jessica aged 4. You start rhyming things and you start doodling things down. And I remember writing my first proper songs at the piano when I was about 14. Songs that I would consider, verse, chorus, etc. Songs that I would have wanted to perform out loud. Before that, I guess the focus possibly was more on performing as well, through school and take the lead role in things, or the solo role, school productions. Of course, I was in the studio when I was a kid too, so I was on Hazel O'Connor's album, possibly When We Knew Wesley.
Did the famous sax solo one?
My memory's not very good, and I should have checked this before I spoke to you. But we were on a song called E.I. Adio, me and my brother.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Choir thing, and then again when I think of a couple of other things. The Elaine Page album. I was a mini pop when I was 10, so I was on Elaine Page's album. My mum was on there as well. Mm-hmm. So the recording side came very naturally as well. I was very, very at home in the studio and in front of a microphone. So. Quite an organic process, and always encouraged. Never forced to, but always encouraged if I did show any.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, things like I used to read about Marvin Gaye's mic technique, about all this stuff that he did, and he knew almost within centimeters how to get certain melismas out of his voice because he had 3 kind of voices, and it must have been great seeing your mum, for example, who had a very strong voice. I can't really describe her as very clear and bell-like. Also, I don't know how you could describe a voice, but seeing the way that they actually sang in his studio must have given you kind of a real, straight away you had an idea of how to actually do that.
I don't even remember they must have guided me, but I must have taken to it very quickly. But the awareness of the microphone, it never scared me. Yeah. When I've helped young kids in the studio after, and obviously when I was a grown-up, I have to remember that I take it for granted being in front of a microphone. It's not scary to me at all, but to somebody who's never come face to face with that, gadget in front of your face,
very daunting.
You have to. It is. Yeah. But in terms of mic technique, again, I guess that developed naturally, and this mic proximity and different things you can get, and my mum's very good. My mum as well, she's a one-take wonder, so
really,
I guess so I guess I can turn them out too.
No fluffs, and wow.
No, she's great. She'll always tell you, that was rubbish, let's do it again, but the first take is always visible, if not something that she's completely happy with.
How
did you sorry, go on, Elliot.
Let's get to some real questions. What cartoons did you watch as a kid?
What's your favourite cartoon character, and what's your favourite drink?
Brilliant. Well, The Simpsons and Jägermeister. I remember. Well, I spent a lot of time in America as a kid. Well, it felt like a lot of time because my grandparents were still out there. Well, obviously they're out there. They moved from Brooklyn to Pennsylvania when I was about 7, right. And so I remember,
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Him.
I can't. Don't ask me.
London.
Somewhere in the Italian quarter.
Yes.
In Brooklyn, and
I have some great photos of your dad at your grandparents' house with Mark Bolan, actually.
That's right.
Eating Sunday meals. I have that somewhere.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, we just did a Mark Bolan show, and I referred to that picture. Grandma baked him a cake with in
fantastic!
So Italian. Her cooking was unbelievable. So so I remember watching. Certainly the TV we watched. They had one of those big. What do you call them? The CRT, like projector televisions. Big.
Oh
big,
yeah.
Split with the 3 lamps in the front.
Yep.
So we'd watch Nickelodeon and MTV and all that kind of.
There you go.
Stuff. This
is the stuff fans want to know.
Is it? Well, I'll tell you something else.
I don't want to know about your singing and writing. They just want to know this stuff.
No, everybody knows about that. The coin. Do you remember the coin-operated TVs in the airport?
No.
I remember that at Kennedy Airport.
Yeah.
Put quarters in them for like 15 minutes a quarter. I remember those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you do. I thought I was going nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's funny because over in the UK, you guys had pay TV before we did, which I guess is cable TV.
Cable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They used to call it pay TV. So
we still have got pay TV. It's called the BBC.
Yeah, but no, I actually
got a bloody license.
But you see, I was actually in the UK, and I remember putting coins in your heating things to keep the
The gas meter.
Yeah, so I thought that's how your TVs were. I thought you had coins to get to put into your TV. like at the airport. The airport, you actually had to put quarters in the TV.
They should have done.
There was a certain part in my life, Jessica, where I was very down on my luck, and I was living in a council flat in southeast London, and I used to turn the gas meter around the other way, so that wheel was going sort of backwards.
Oh,
and they started writing, "We owe you money for the gas."
That's very clever. I never would have thought of that.
I know. Well, it came out of financial desperation, I think. He's reminding us of some really horrible times in the UK, isn't he?
Oh dear. We've all been there.
So your favourite cartoon character was?
Oh, well, currently I love The Simpsons. I love Family Guy. If we go to a hotel,
Family
we'll be
Guy.
up to 1 a.m. watching Family Guy and American Dad. And we've just been watching Thunderbirds. I like
The reboot or the old?
No, the original Thunderbirds. Yeah. So yes, Parker, get the bill.
Yes, my lady. It's so insane, that stuff, isn't it? I mean, that guy. Hey, listen, if we have a Punch and Judy show, we're going to make $1 million.
Yeah.
Who would have thought it? And of course, one of the reasons that we clicked Jessica too was I think Wesley mentioned that I'd worked for 2000 AD for a while. So you're into all that kind of British comic stuff a bit too, were you? Or
well, I have to admit,
not
so much me. My brother certainly. So my brother was is still 3.5 years older than me.
Still.
He would pioneer with music and comics and things. So I did have a look. I mean, obviously, it wasn't really my bag, but I know his friends were massively into Judge Dredd and 2000 AD. And yeah. I certainly appreciated the artwork.
You must have had some great. You must have had some great visitors over at the house.
Well, yeah, I think that's possibly where I picked up guitar in the end. So, I mean, I have to say my parents split when I was 4. So I don't remember before. We lived in Wargrave till I was 4.
That?
It's just near Henley on Thames.
Okay.
Just on that side. So that was nice. I would say my memory's a bit fuzzy then. Then we moved just across the river, me, my mum, my brother. And it was in what we call the Rockstar Belt. So George Harrison lived in Henley. We had Ian Pace and John Lord from Deep Purple down the road. Barry Barlow was a good friend of ours up the road, Toll's drummer. There's a lot of people around that area. So, they used to come around for tea and, family, friends. And they'd say, hey, do you know this chord? Or do you know this chord? So one day I'd learn C, then I'd learn G, then I'd learn another chord.
Yeah, because
before I knew it, I could play a song.
And Paul McCartney kind of took your mom under his wing, right? McCartney was a big fan of you. Yeah, he kind of led her through the Apple thing.
Certainly did, yeah. They didn't stay that close, but well, I mean, Paul lived further away, but he was very supportive and made a great album.
Yeah,
we did. I do remember going to a big Christmas party where the kids were up with we had the clowns entertaining us, and downstairs all the grown-ups were doing grown-up stuff. My mum wanted to be up.
Now, is it true that they used to have Ringo dress as a clown to entertain the kids?
Maybe it was Ringo. No, I seem to remember Paul bringing in Ringo separately, and the clown was still there.
Yeah, I have a great bootleg album of your mom and Paul McCartney doing it was an Apple showcase, and it was your mom and McCartney, and they did a whole mess of stuff together.
Oh.
In fact, if you don't have it, I will send you a copy of it. Everybody here?
All right. What?
Okay, we back? Is everybody
you're back
with me?
now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I have this great bootleg. If you'd like a copy of it, I'll send you one.
Yeah.
It's your mom and McCartney.
Because they released his version of Goodbye.
Yeah, but it was...
that was fantastic, yeah.
But this was an Apple showcase.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I'll get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. I get by with a little help from my friends. Now I'd like to introduce you all to two boys. Well, you've met them before tonight. They sang their songs for you earlier on. They're here now again to help me out. Here they are. Graham Lyle and Benny Gallagher. I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. I need somebody to love. I need somebody to love. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. With a little help from my friends. Well, I met them 2 years ago. One of the things they're lovely people. I found them very easy to get on with. At first I was very nervous of meeting Paul. I met Paul McCartney first. And I thought I'd be frightened, but he was very easy to talk to. Very, very natural. I don't really know them well enough to sort of talk about them individually, but I know Paul better than the others.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I'm looking for it as we speak, but it was pretty neat.
There is so much stuff. I haven't even listened to it all. There's so much stuff from that day, especially bootlegs. Someone just put up a whole load of her BBC appearances, on
really?
Top of the Pops and all sorts of things, all BBC shows.
Yeah.
And half of them she couldn't even remember having done. She said, "My God, where was that? I don't remember that arrangement," or
Yeah.
But yeah, she was very, very busy.
Yeah. So
how long did your mum's career last for then, Jessica? It wasn't like years and years. Was it about 5-10 years or something max?
It depends how you define it, really. She by the time she put out Song Ocean Song with my dad, she made the album that she'd always wanted to make. It was the second Apple release, and it was wonderful. And they had some very good friends play. Danny Thompson and Dave Cousins from Straubs and Ralph McTell were on there, and they did a fantastic job. But she was tied into summer season at Margate, and she couldn't promote it, and she'd been forced to do so many terrible things that she hated that she just said, "Stuff this," and married my dad and had kids, and she just had enough, and she'd been strong-armed too many times, unfortunately. Now, she did continue to work. She's been guested on many, many things over the years. And then we started our record label in 2005, so we could put out a load of stuff that hadn't been released before, that she and Tony had made from after Apple onwards. So, and we've just put out a new album.
Well,
we've just put out 2 albums this year, in fact. Her new album, and there's a Christmas album of hers that we're just about to come out as well.
And I think there was a dozen 45s released on Apple. There was a lot of Apple work.
That's right. There was a lot. Yeah, there's lots of weird little bits here and there. And then there were the songs for Europe, Eurovision she didn't like, but fans still find them or ask for them. And, where is it? And I think Apple needs to catch up, really. There's a lot of stuff they could re-release that, they could make money out of.
I mean, because Apple put out a box set of all the 45s. And there's like 18 cuts from your mom.
It's crazy, isn't it? When was that?
The box set came out probably 4 or 5 years ago. But
yes, another one.
The Apple.
Make sure you're getting those royalties.
I hope so.
the Apple UK singles collection.
Yes.
Yeah, and she has a ton of work on that, tons. So
the fans are still there. God bless them. It's because of them we were able to start this label, because she said, "Okay, if I do anything, I will not be doing interviews." shows or touring or going on telly or putting a pretty frock on ever again. She said, I'm done with all that. And I said, all right, well, we can just make something and put it out. You know, there's the internet now. So I made this album, Festival Hall. I put it out and there were fans who bought it. So as long as we cover our costs, she is in her element. You know, this album, I'll send you a picture, but it's that album, Another Road, we've just put out. She recorded the whole thing herself.
Now, yeah. Amazing.
My artwork, Jim. See,
is that your artwork? Fantastic.
Well, she took a picture of some stained glass, and I made it into a road.
Oh wow! From where I'm looking, it looks like a waterfall type thing. Or something.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Incredible. Yeah, good for you.
So I mean, we just do everything in house, so she has full control. I mean, if I involved any other artists or engineers or anything, Chris engineers the whole thing, mixes everything. If we involved anyone else, it would be a nightmare. So we just do everything between the three of us. Morgan helps out. My brother helps out as well. They put an album out.
Can you just quickly, you've mentioned your brother, the 3.5 years older than you, brother, quite a few times. What does Morgan do? Is he a sound engineer or?
He's a composer. He started his own music house called Human Worldwide in 2001. And he's a very successful composer for TV, adverts, that kind of thing.
Fantastic. I'll have to check
yeah, and he's an artist in his own right. So he put out an album in, I can't remember, 2013, I think, 14, Ride, which is really great. He'd done some stuff before that, and he's got a new project with an old friend, Sam, called Ready, Steady, Die. He makes videos. He's really talented.
About the right words, I know they're never gonna be
Yeah, right. It sounds really on that's right. It's good with your mum, because she's got all the creativity with none of the bullshit attached that you had to, the kind of media pressure that you had to go through back then. It's funny, and you also reminded me of that insane British light entertainment circuit. You know, that mad of the peer shows, and tonight we've got Carl Wayne with Roy Hull and Ian.
I know.
Stuff, you know what I mean? Just kind of.
And she had one herself. It was diabolical. I've got the audio here, but the tape keeps chewing up. Probably knows how bad it was. It was
a pilot for TV or a pilot?
It was Mary. She had an idea. She said, "Oh, I'll interview people from writers and filmmakers and stuff like that, and do some of the music from films or whatever." And they put her with a bunch of children in a pretty frock, and it's nauseating. This thing they made her do. It's just horrible. I'm glad it got lost, but so that's what she was made to do.
Did it even air? No, or did it go?
It did.
Oh,
Mary Hopkin, there's 6. Yeah. We can't. There are no. There's no video. I think one. But she just
tons of amazing stuff. Apparently, music. Music from back in the day.
I know they need to sort it out. I know they did, but there's still things that have survived. But so she didn't have a happy time.
Well,
also, her family as well. They were very keen for her to just make the most of any opportunity that came her way. So she ended up saying yes to things that she felt pressure to do, and so
Back then, I think probably people didn't realise there was going to be a legacy industry, etc. They probably thought. I mean, I heard John Lennon said, like, we maybe got 3 years if we're lucky. And they were knocking out, not knocking out, but doing albums really quickly, weren't they? 2 in 1 year. I think 1 year.
You're probably right. Just cream it while you can.
Now Sting takes 3 decades to release his latest Loot album. Anyway,
like
enough
me.
of that.
How about
my madrigal world?
How about your solo stuff? Let's talk about that for a bit.
Jessica. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Hey, we don't call Mary and talk about Jessica the whole time, do we?
She would if she did interviews. I'm sure she would.
I know she would.
Bless her heart. She does on Twitter. Oh well, my stuff. I released my first album in 2010.
You're up to your 4th, right?
I'm up to my 4th, right? My 4th, right? Yeah, I can show you, even though this is radio. Right. So my first, I am not. My brother and my dad helped me out with the mixing. That was great.
That was me thinking it was a cold and lonely place. That was me thinking it was for the phonies. On TV it don't look too inviting. If not for you, I'd never go. But it's opened my eyes. So like Prague or like Paris, the city that they named twice was where I like to be. Everybody there wants to get to know you. They say I wanna buddy up with you. Can I show you all around my city? We got the tallest buildings, and don't we know it? We got the best bagels and the best coffee, the best in bars and the best in beers. But we like the way you guys do things, and we just love the way you talk. There are some goals for me. This is not the place I wanna be. Gotta let go, gotta smile and brave the lions. They're just people with the same hang-ups as me. They're all getting older, making peace before they die. Now my eyes are open, It's almost like home to me. I can show you all around my city. It's where I like to be. It's where I like to be. That was me thinking it was a cold and lonely place, and I just thought it was for the phonies. You know, on TV it don't look too inviting, and if not for you, I'd never go. But it's opened my eyes, so like Prague or like Paris, the city that they name twice is where I like to be. It's where I like to be. Where I like to be.
Oh no, I've got the blues again. I'm on the road. You know, people. But it's actually really funny about the kind of, and it's quite. Some of the songs are very. The arrangements are quite staccato, aren't they? They've got a kind of slight edge to them with a.
Yeah,
the
well,
vocals are sweet, but they
organic,
Kind of
yes.
yeah. It's I really liked it.
Yeah, well, I like some quite hard stuff. Oh, The Man, good, thank you. Well,
Lovely
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, we've got a good mix of things. Like Chris here is he's a death metaler at heart, really,
Is
by
it?
trade. So for him to end up working on nice Mary Hopkin folk songs, I think we've broken him over the years. But so
Yeah.
we work together. It does have that edge, which is nice.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
And how did you get the name Jessica Lee Morgan? Where did the Morgan come from, other than your brother?
Well, Morgan is our grandmother's maiden name.
Oh,
So
okay.
Elizabeth.
Because if I was you, I would have named myself Jessica Lee, Mary Hopkin, Tony Visconti. That's how I would have gone out on the road. I mean, I would have looked, you know.
Yeah,
Too long to put on the posters, though, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been a battle, to be honest, because I changed it when I was 16.
Okay.
I thought,
We're packing up, leaving today. Use up the food, now we cannot stay. There's stuff everywhere, will it go away? Take what you need, get more along the way. Here we go again, another stop and start. Where do we go? Hope it's not too far. I can't remember where I've been, what I'm supposed to do, who I should have seen. Every time I wake up, I don't know what's out the window. We're on the road again. We're on the road again.
Right, where are we? What time is it? And how much money do I get?
What number is our room? When do we check out? What's the Wi-Fi code? I can hear you shout. Who's that man? Who's that woman? Where are we now? Who am I talking to? Each week a different place where we don't belong. It's all a Russian race, and we feel so wrong. Can't remember who I am.
Who am I?
When I wake up, where I am.
Where am I?
Every time I wake up, I don't know what's out the window. We're on the road again. We're on the road again. last bus home. Someone else's life I follow. Every time I wake up, I don't know what's out the window. Every time I wake up, I don't know what's out the window. Every time I wake up, I don't know what's out the window. We're on the road.
I'm very proud. Like, I'm very proud of being in a band with my dad. I wouldn't be in that band if it wasn't for my dad. But
Yeah.
I have to rise to the occasion. I couldn't be in that band and be crap.
Right.
Put it that way, because
Right,
that would
right.
be horrifyingly embarrassing.
Yep.
So yeah, he doesn't let me slack off at all because I'm his daughter. In fact, he makes me work harder because I'm his daughter. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's good.
I think you're right about the standards thing. I mean, it's. I mean, Jessica, these days the amount of stuff. Back in the day, we used to think there's quite a lot of 45s came out every week or whatever. But I mean, now there's so much stuff out on, everywhere, in all different sort of platforms. Do you think it's harder to be heard these days, or do you think it's, again, quality rise? You accept the fact that you're working in an incredibly crowded environment,
Yeah, but there was shit back in the day as well, though, wasn't
yeah.
there? It's just that hasn't lasted, and so
Yeah.
you assume that everything from 1968 was amazing because the good stuff has lasted. I think now it's easier to be heard because you don't have to wait for a label to sign you up and do all the work for you. You can just do it yourself. But now we have to be much more well-rounded as artists. You have to be an artist and a businessman and a graphic artist and a technical engineer, and you have to know about, like I'd recommend everybody knows about PRS and PPL, how to get your royalties, how the money works, how to read a contract, because I used to work for the PRS Benevolent Fund, and
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Yeah, and the number of beneficiaries I had to visit who got completely shafted because they didn't know how to read a contract, or they were taken advantage of, or they played for this and that major star, but they never got paid. And I go, well, have you sorted out your PPL? And they go, what's PPL? I go, well, the other half of your royalties, mate. And they go, I don't know about that. So I think it's better now because it's more transparent. You can literally make your own record label right now from scratch and be in complete control. And I think that's the only way to be, frankly.
But on top of all that, you have to be a social media expert because, I kind of, I may be wrong, but I think social media now is more important than being a good artist.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, if you could get your stuff, it could be crap, but if you could get it in front of everybody, it's going to catch on somewhere. And, I don't know if that's fair or whatever, but that's just the way it is.
Well, that's business, isn't it? It doesn't really matter about quality these days.
It's just that if you know how to maneuver around, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and whatever, you have a better chance of becoming an artist now than if you're a good artist. So
I use artist in inverted commas. I think if you spend, that's very deadening though, to spend that amount of time. The problem is, who's got that kind of time to do all the 360-degree stuff?
Right.
Because, I mean, a lot of those people, like we talked about Live Nation, didn't we, Elliot, and all those kind of characters, they wanted, 360-degree contracts to give to us where they take percentages of everything, live, performance, merch and everything, which a lot of people can make money on and all that. I mean, is it difficult to monetize still? Is it... Obviously, it's possible, but is it, again, with this crowded platform we're living in at the moment, is it easier or more adaptable to monetize now, Jessica? Or I'm not asking you personal questions, but just to survive as a a living,
think
ongoing artist.
You really have to ask yourself very carefully whether it's a very, very big-headed thing to say, I'm an artist, you should all pay money and buy my stuff. That's really massively egotistical. So you have to make sure that what you're giving is not just that you can sing and play a guitar or that you can knock up a song. It's that, do you have something that people actually want to engage with? And even if it's only, like our shows now, I never thought I'd be doing online streamed shows, but it's brought people to see our shows who wouldn't have managed to physically get to us, like people in the far north of Scotland or in Japan or somebody who can't leave the house. And they've all said, your music means so much to me, that particular song or this particular song speaks to me and I love it. And they get really emotional and it's ridiculous. It's much more than I expected. And then they say, have some money. And I think, well, thank you so much. But obviously we are giving something, we've got the banter and we talk to them. And I've seen so many artists who are musical artists who are proficiently really good, technically good, but they sit there like a sack of potatoes or they've got no audience rapport. Yeah. And you think, well, why should I spend money and go out and see someone like that who really couldn't care less or seems to not care whether the audience is there or not? I think maybe now with all this, the way the virus has knocked out live industry, I think it might cut out a lot of the fluff and the people who haven't got their act together. This might sound very pig-headed of me, but I think you have to work so much harder now. And it's not just about, like, you can have not very good songs, but your on-stage manner might be so engaging and wonderful that people just want to see you for your banter. And they go, the songs are okay, but, that guy is so funny. Have you got anybody in mind,
any particular artist in mind with that? Or?
Well, I'm thinking of... Well, no, but I'm thinking of two who we've played with recently, and they are excellent performers and songwriters as well. Robin Hitchcock, we've been on tour 3 times with. In fact, we're supposed to play the Delaware Pavilion again.
Delaware.
Yeah, we're booked to the Cafe Bar. It was supposed to be this year.
That's down on the seafront from where I live, Elliot.
Yeah, where we had coffee. We're going to play in there.
That's right, with your dad and
I love Robin. I love Robin's work. He is so...
he's amazing.
He is. I mean, I love the things that he put out. He'll grab a group of guys and, say, hey, let's do the White Album tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, up.
See my love, rabbits
Thank you. The late Ian MacDonald, in his book Revolution in the Head, makes one of many good points. He says about that song, he says, the thing is, he says, that's a rock song, it's not a pop song. They're going to rock there, and of course, it had those big bombastic feel to it, and it went down very well in the stadiums. And the interesting point is when the Beatles did actually play the stadiums after that was written. I don't think they ever played this one actually live, even in the studio. It was a series of magnificent edits. Please edit along in your heads with us as we say track 8.
And these guys they'll hobble through it. That there's like tons of warts and ugly things coming out of it, but it's incredible. I mean, I think and
the Veruca.
Jim, I don't know if you know this, but years ago he rented 2 double-decker buses, and he sold tickets, and he took all his fans to see his where he was born and everything, and he'd stand outside of the buses and do some acoustic numbers. You know, this is where I used to have breakfast, and do another number. It was that kind of thing. The guy's incredible. I love Robin Hitchcock. Since the Soft Boys days, and
Soft Boys. That's right.
He's a genius.
Yeah,
I said to his sister. His banter in between the songs, you rabbit on for about 10 minutes and then go, oh yeah, the song. And, his sister said he did it. Yeah, he does a stand-up.
Yeah, he actually rented a storefront in Manhattan.
That's right.
And he did a live show just in front of the window,
Storefront. Yeah, I need to.
Incredible stuff, incredible. And he's, he keeps it, keeps you guessing. But Robin's, I love Robin, and if you see him, tell him I want to do a podcast with him.
I will do.
I've been looking for him and I just can't seem to find him. But
he's on Twitter.
Oh, he is. He's on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not on Twitter much, but I love Robin Hitchcock. He's guys like you guys had so many great artists. Tony Levin. Do you know Tony?
Oh, I love Tony Levin. Yes.
Tony passed away.
Bass player.
No.
Oh, no, wait,
I'm thinking of
the other Tony Levin.
Yeah,
there is another Tony Levin. Yes.
Yeah. And also, you guys have such great guys who pick up an acoustic guitar and just do wonders with it.
Yeah, and, we did some gigs with Damien Wilson recently as well. He's in a band now with Adam Wakeman, who's Rick Wakeman's son.
Yeah.
And Damien's banter is just incredible. He's got the most phenomenal voice, amazing, like high tenor voice, but his banter as well is so engaging. And then he'll just go around and talk to the audience, and he'll play with his sword. It's just brilliant. He could just not do the guitar as well. Yeah. So that's what I mean. We need to raise the bar. I've gone to see live music before, and I just think, why am I here? This person is rubbish. I know we all have to start somewhere, but you see people who are supposed to be really good. Just think.
You mean they're punching above their weight too soon? Sort of thing.
I think so. But then the more the public get told this stuff is really good, then they'll just suck it up, and then.
That's the whole thing. That's where social media.
It's a dangerous thing for me to say, but.
That's where social media does such an injustice. You see them all over the place, and you think they're incredible. And you get there, and it's rubbish. It's a lot of crap, it was like that in the old days too. The major artists, the guys who are really good, never got to the forefront. There was some great bands, but look how long it took T-Rex to break into the American, And the only thing they're known for is Bang a Gong, really.
Yeah. I know.
Well, I used to listen to them when the acoustic duo doing that, all that kind of really weird elfy folk stuff.
Yeah. And I used to work with Flo and Eddie, and they did a lot. They did a lot of the T-Rex albums, and Howard Kalin and Mark Bolan were very, very tight, and they just couldn't crack the market here. Bang a Gong was it, and
I remember that record so well.
Yeah.
Very hard.
And that was
I think that was one of his best. Did Tony produce Bang?
Yeah.
Oh he did them most of the way through. Yeah.
My brother said to me, if I ever interview Tony Visconti, I've got to ask him about Jeepster. I don't know why, but I've got to.
What about?
My brother just loves Jeepster.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good song. Very unusual. At that time too, it was quite unusual music in a way. It was really stripped down, wasn't it? And very almost empty, wasn't it? Bang, get it on, or whatever it's called. Let's get it on. It's a very empty piece of music in a way. There's hardly anything there. In a way.
There was
strings, isn't it?
That whole album, Electric Warrior, was a bare. But you know what it was? He just came from that acoustic thing. You know, he was doing that thing with Mickey Finn, and it was a 2-man acoustic thing.
I never got the Mickey Finn on congas thing, to be honest. But.
Well,
compared to the conga players I've seen in my life.
Carabella was busy that week.
Giovanna,
but they took away Boland's acoustic guitar and gave him a Les Paul, and said, go do the same thing you were doing with the acoustic, and you'll be fine. And, that's pretty much what they were. And
I think he didn't mind it, did he? He adapted fairly well.
Yeah, he did adapt real well.
Yeah. Yeah.
What platforms do you prefer, Jessica, to? Obviously, probably you'd say all of them, but is there a specific way you like to reach your people, your crowd of fans, your following, or whatever? Is there?
my huge crowds of fans. Well, live is always the best, to be honest. I love a live audience. I don't mind whether there's 3 people or I'd say 2,000 people is probably the biggest I've played to, but not all of them there to see me, I must add. But I love live. I love getting people singing along. I love, hearing the banter, all that kind of stuff. You can just about get it on YouTube with the chat window, but it's not quite the same. I really hate being in the studio. All the rest of my family are studio rats. They can spend hours poring over the details and, every last thing. But
it's
can't.
A weird environment for people, isn't it? For some people, I think.
Yeah, I just want to do it as quickly as possible and get it done. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That's it. But my mum, having just worked, we had to work over Skype with my mum on her album and sending mixes backwards and forwards. Then we'd have a Skype session. Okay, this bar 3, I can hear something, a little click there, needs to be blah, blah, blah. Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Detailed. The 3 of them. Attention to detail is incredible. And I'm just completely the opposite, as if I rebelled.
Well, after this podcast, your listenership is going to be going way up. You'll have about 7-8 new fans when we're done with you.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge in my world.
That's including us too.
Yeah, that's what
you're 2 of them.
Yeah. So
I'm happy with that. That's huge.
Small increment.
It's a fickle thing. It's a fickle thing.
If I'm a new fan of Jessica Lee Morgan, direct me to something I need to listen to, Jessica. I've listened to Forthright and one of the other ones today, whose name, sorry, I can't remember, but I can.
Well, there's Around the Block was the middle one. I don't know. Well,
a bit of that. Around the Block
Reboot.
And I Am Not. Which one would you advise people to listen in chronological, or is there one that you really love people to hear, or you want people to hear?
I don't know. They're all different. I'm proud of them in different ways. They're just good selections of songs as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Reboot and I Am Not are kind of the same album. Reboot is a reboot of I Am Not. Because by the time we made I Am Not, and then people would say, oh, but you're a disco act, because there happened to be a couple of programmed tracks on there. So I was booked for a gig, and then he went off and listened to I Want to Be Famous, which was my girl band spoof disco track. And he said, oh, no, I don't think you're right for this, I don't know, beer and cheese festival. I was like, what do you mean? I'm perfect for beer festivals. I stand there with a guitar. So, so we did Reboot to reflect the way that we play those songs live, which is just, it's me and Chris. Chris only joined me on stage in 2015 when we supported Holy Holy for the first time, because they were much bigger theatres. So he gives some really good, literally bass support. And
Chris, he's a bass player.
What does it take to make it? Auto-tune and some lyrics, tight clothes and glossy lipstick, high heels and kiss ass, But I always thought I was better than that. I worked so hard just to remain in the dark. I wanted to make it all on my own. What the fuck, I just don't care. I wanna be famous. I wanna be rich. I wanna be on TV. I want to be that rich bitch. What the hell do these kids know? Instant success for everyone. That's how it works these days. Ain't got no staying power. Eco tracks all recycled. All the best stuff's been written. Must find another gimmick. It's all girls kissing girls. I wanna be famous. I wanna be rich. I wanna be on TV. I want to be that rich bitch. I wanna be famous. I wanna be rich. I wanna be on TV. I want to be that rich bitch. Don't let it show. If you can't go, my mama always said, keep your powder dry. Don't be seen in anything less than pristine clean. We don't wanna know. Really, we don't wanna know. I wanna be famous. I wanna be rich. I wanna be on TV. I want to be that rich bitch. I wanna be famous. I wanna be rich. I wanna be on TV. I want to be that rich bitch.
Yeah, and he's doing harmonies. And then we've so Forthright, we've written a couple of those together. Modern Day Girl. So it's evolving definitely, which is nice. And there's some other side projects I've done as well. There's a Beatles Complete on ukulele I did as well, Long and Winding
Oh
Road.
yes, that's right. Yeah, I've heard
That
some of
seems
that.
to
Pretty
surface now and
fun.
again.
That's real fun, that project.
Yeah. So
Can you
I
tell
need
us
to
a
get
bit
cracking
about,
on
tell
it.
us, going back again, about your involvement. Are you still involved with PRS or?
No, I left, I was only as a member. I worked for the PRS Fund for 3 years.
Right.
In between, I came back from a 3-month stint in New York, kind of working with my brother. And I worked, I visited beneficiaries. So anyone who needed help, I'd visit and try and help them with their benefits or their cooker or their new sofa or whatever they needed. People have fallen on really hard times. Which is perfect because I'd done jobs like that before. My song I Am Not is all about my time in, social policy and service user involvement. So for me, it was the perfect job, and I understood the music side. But in the end, I had to leave because we were going on a 6-week tour of America, and my boss wouldn't let me have the time off. So I said it was my job to say, "Oh no, you shouldn't rely on music as a main income," a bit like Rishi Sunak's doing now. But it's been true all along. You should have a plan B. You should not rely on music as your main income. But don't tell anybody I said that, because it's
not quite as bad as acting, but it's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's not a very good career choice. It's not guaranteed income or anything like that. No. So all these people, they
creative arts, really.
Yeah, they've been really successful in a lot of cases. Some people had never been successful, but they could still apply to the fund for help. I mean, there's benevolent funds for all sorts of different careers.
It
was great working there.
I've been talking to the pioneers of music, and it seems, speaking to the execs, the salesmen and stuff, it seems that the whole music industry was built upon the notion that it's never going to last.
Yeah. And
grab what you can where you can grab it really quick, and don't give back. And that seems, and I Jim, I've been talking to Jeff and Bill Perazzo and guys like that who've been in the industry, 60 years. And they said that's how it was set up. It was set up to abuse the artist, to just kind of suck up whatever you can, and really don't give anything back if you don't have to, and because it's never going to last anyway. It's a fleeting business. So
I think it's kind of run like that now. I mean, they just, if you go to say somewhere like Tesco's, I mean, if you ever see CDs these days, they're all now. That's what I call music.
Yeah,
duet, greatest hits. It's all really just.
I spoke to the Holy Trinity this weekend. I spoke to Joel Selden, who's a great author, right? And he's seen it all. He worked for the Chronicle. Bill Perazzo and Jeff Traeger. And between the three of them, they said this industry was built upon the notion that it's never going to last, and just grab what you can and run.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. It's just amazing why anybody's so surprised that it's going sour now. It's like musicians have been giving up. I know these are terrible circumstances now, and, it's not in our hands, and venues are closing for no good reason and that sort of thing. But you should always have a backup, and you can't, like I said, I find it's an incredibly pig-headed thing to be a musician and expect people to come and listen to you. Certainly
I know what you mean. It's not the jobbers thing, is it? Yeah.
No, the jobbers are different as well. The Wesleys of the world, the session musicians, or the people who play in bands or orchestras or stuff, they should expect maybe some better. They work harder than a lot.
And also Wesley had publishing contracts with Warner's, and I think he had Warner's Chapel, didn't he? And he had, he did 40. I was amazed. He said to me one day, "Oh yeah, Jim. Oh yeah, Jim. Oh, I've done a." He's like,
I know what he's saying.
I won't speak exactly how he speaks.
He might listen to this, Jim. Be careful what you say.
I know. Oh, I've already spoken to him today. I said, "Guess who I'm talking to you like?" You said say hi, by the way. He's done, 40 US tours. It's like, the guy's amazing. He's been in great bands. Had a name for himself. Very philosophical about it all. Come out the other side fairly unscathed. And as far as I know, he's got that business head where he makes sure he gets his payments and points back on time.
Well,
and all that stuff,
This is the thing, because he had to fight for his rights on, his PRS on the Willoughby and all that kind of stuff.
On told me about that. Yeah.
It's never clear cut, and you get writers' cuts, and people say, "Well, I wrote that riff, but I never got credit for it. I never got paid." Everybody.
So I got a session fee of £200, and that's
or you get Rick Wakeman. I was paid £10 for this session. It's like, well, that's how it was done at the time, and you didn't ask for anything different, or and then this is what we saw in the PRS. They took 20 years later, 30 years later, they go, I should have some compensation for that, for the way I was treated, or they should set it right. And you can't go back that far, because it was done in desperate times. People just grab, like you say, Elliot, everything.
Wesley
have it and run.
Kind of got his dues, as far as I know, without
in the
going
end.
into detail in the end. I mean, it's like the old thing, though. Well, look, it's like I remember I was talking to your dad about "Flowers in the Rain" by The Move, because I said, "You did those beautiful strings on that record."
Oh,
I thought he probably said to you probably expected me to say, yeah, about Bowie's Heroes, but I'm just...
It's Bowie, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, those guys, they got signed to a management deal, and then he licensed their stuff to a label. So they were double screwed. So they're still on 20 quid a week back in the day, and their records are number 1, 2 in the charts. It's like, that is...
And they had no idea.
That is criminal, I think. And even that sort of stuff, you say, well, you know, they knew what they were doing. They didn't know.
They didn't.
How about the sidemen? You know, like it was Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention.
The Mothers of Invention, yeah.
So he paid them, but if they came up with a riff, he felt that he owned it because he was paying them a salary.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he got the royalties on it. So,
and that would have happened all over the place.
Property, intellectual property.
So not only were you getting screwed by the record company and your manager and your booking agent, but the guy who led your band was screwing you too.
And that was pretty commonplace of people that we've been talking about.
I mean, look at the Hall of Fame. Frank Zappa's will be in the Hall of Fame, but the Mothers won't.
No.
You know, David Bowie will be in the Hall of Fame, but the Spiders won't. That kind of thing, you know.
And they changed the rules. So PPL changed the rules about what was a featured performer and what wasn't a featured performer.
Yeah.
So the people who are relying on their royalties for their pension in their old age are now saying, well, that's gone now. But meanwhile, the song still gets played on Radio 2 every 5 minutes. So it's not easy, and you have the only thing you can do is know as much as possible as you possibly can about it. And then you're less likely to.
Back then, 16-year-old kids knew nothing. I mean,
of course
it's
not
like now where information's everywhere and very reasonably easy to get hold of. But
you know,
if you know to look for it.
I spoke to Dennis McKay last week. You guys know Dennis? You guys know Dennis, right?
Producer. Yeah.
Dennis is a big producer too. Dennis said that a couple of weeks ago, these kids came to his house, and they said to him, "We're looking for a producer. And we heard you're great. Would you like to produce us?" So he says, "Well, let me hear what you got." And so one of the guys said to him, "Do you mind getting me a glass of water?" So Dennis leaves. He gets him comes back with a glass of water, and the guy says to him, "By the way, what does a producer do?"
Oh.
So he said, "What do you mean?"
In the world.
Get out of my house.
He said, "What do you mean? What does a producer do?" He says, "Well, we know we need one, but what exactly are you going to be doing for us?"
And he should have said, "How are you going to pay me?"
Yeah. Well, I guess they had some money, but they had no idea what a producer does or why they needed him. But they went to one of the finest producers who ever lived.
Did he say your cash ain't nothing but trash? Or?
Yeah.
Pulled out a gun.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. People still, they ask me, "Oh, do you think your dad would produce me?" I was like, "Well, sure, you're going to pay him. Who's going to pay him? He doesn't work for nothing. They don't work on spec."
Yeah.
We used to get bands. Chris and I ran a studio in Cardiff for a while, and even then we used to get bands going on saying, "Oh, well, you should let us record for free, and then you'd get paid on the success of it." And we're like, "Yeah, because you're going to be famous next week, aren't you, mate? Just cough up the mere 30 quid for this."
I'll tell you
funny. I think the most delusory people are the ones that are really shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've got the really dreadful shit, and I remember once going around to somebody's house with a guy called Ron Sanso in the States, and this woman played her kids a cassette of her kids' song, and I just wanted to burst out laughing, just raw with laughter. It was that bad.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. When John Lennon was coming back to the music industry with a Double Fantasy, right? That was his comeback. No label was going to pick him up because he wanted them to sign a contract prior to the album being made.
Whoa.
Now, this is John Lennon, and nobody picked it up, except David Geffen. And that's how he wound up on the Geffen label. Geffen said, "I'll give you the shot. Just come with me, and you can give me the album later." But none of the big companies were going to take him unless they heard an album. So if Lennon couldn't do it, how could your cousin do it,
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
They don't sign you on talent. They sign you on whether they're going to make their money back. That's the only thing.
Yeah. And don't forget, like CBS and everything else, the record business was secondary to them. They were making, stereos and TVs and, whatever it was. The records would just say, let's make some records. So,
Be something to play on them, yeah.
Yeah. So, you were like artists have a shelf life, so to speak, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, that's the good thing now.
It's always been short term, though, isn't it? I think even now. I mean, I don't know. When I listen to the new stuff in the charts, I don't really like it. I don't like the sound, the way it's put together. But it's not like I don't get it. I get it, but it just doesn't.
I don't get it.
No, I don't get it. I don't get autotune. I don't get this high frequency.
Yeah. I mean.
Once upon a time I thought you were the best I could do. Now I look at you like something that I scraped off my shoe. Sometimes I can feel you staring at the back of my head. Then I look back and I wonder if you might just be dead. What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell did I do to deserve you? To deserve you. Now I look back and it seemed a good idea in my mind. Bought me everything I could want and we had a great time. Thinking about the details, I wasn't one to speak out. Now I've moved on to something new and I don't depend on you. What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell did I do to deserve you? To deserve you. Now the years have brought me some clarity. Know just what I like and what suits me. Might have been right back then, but now we've grown up fast. I try to draw a line under the past, but now and again I say, what the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell did I do to deserve you? To deserve you. What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? What the hell did I do to deserve you? What the hell did I do to deserve you? Oh, to deserve you.
We started we had a Very Hopkin band. We did a tribute because my mum wouldn't go on tour. I said, well, we'll take your song. So we did a little trial run, unfortunately never more, but we had Brian Willoughby, who played with her back from the 70s, and his wife, Cathryn Craig, and Christian, and our friend Simon on percussion. We were all going to get 5 long blonde wigs and come on with those. We never got around to it in the end. Yeah. Brian was well up for it, though. I think it was his idea.
Did you do the tour then, the mini tribute?
We did 3 gigs. We did London and Cardiff and Pontardawe, where my mum's hometown, which was nice.
Right.
But yeah, this is the thing, getting a show on the road, you know, you have to sell it to an agent who thinks he's going to make the money back, and then you have to sell it to promoter and then this and that, and it's just hard work. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that we thought all this technology was going to liberate everybody, and in some ways it has, but in other ways it's made life. You have to kind of work a lot harder now just to, I've seen it in the publishing business. It's like a mate of mine who's in the music industry for a long time always said, the music industry is like a car boot sale now in a way, unless you're right at the very top, but there's a big chasm from that top to the next sort of tier. The tiers are very separated. And whatever.
Yeah, well, you've got the Rolling Stones can or Fleetwood Mac, they can coast through anything, can't they, and charge £100 a ticket. But I don't know.
I wouldn't pay that kind of money to see anybody. I don't think.
What's going to happen now? That
what's your predictions
for the music industry?
Well, yeah, how do you feel about? I mean, what do you see the future as? I mean, we'll sell it to somebody.
I just think people have to think creatively. In fact, we had tea earlier on with the lighting director for Holy Holy popped round, and they're in a different field, so they get. I mean, the crew get more work than I do, certainly at my level, but they're always working, and if I'm nice to them, they give me gigs, which is nice. So, he invited us to play those gigs, Warwick Castle and Blenheim Palace, and the guy who put those on was Patrick Nally, who I think he did like the Concorde for Live Aid. He got the Concorde sorted out to fly Phil Collins over and something like that. So he's a bigwig in sports advertising. And they just set up these really nice gigs, and everyone was very happy, and we had live music and they had headliners, and it was lovely. And so there are gigs happening. I think now's the time we can break it all open. We can stop this ridiculous promoter culture and where they're nicking 25% of your merch and just the inflation of everything. We can do gigs that are more accessible or just nicer to go to or more civilized or friendlier or just more smaller gigs rather than, fewer very big gigs.
I always hated gigs after a while because they're so... Yeah. Like, everybody's out of their head, those... Yeah. Everybody makes so much... I went and saw that guy, Father John Misty, at the Delaware.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got a ticket for that. And people were just walking, standing, they come and sort of stand in front of you.
Yeah.
You're like smashing them over the head with a bottle.
Yeah.
What depresses me, what depresses me is old people dancing in the aisles. and then I'll say to my wife, man, look at that old person dancing. Then I'll say to my wife, look at that old person dancing. She says, you're older than them. You're older than them. So...
Well, Holy Holy now, the promoter insists on seated venues, but there's always a bit of a grapple because Glenn, the band, we want to see everybody up and dancing, and Glenn says, everybody stand up, and then he gets told off, and then the bouncers go, everybody sit down, and then stand up and sit down. But when they're seated...
But they don't want people dancing.
No, well, certainly not in the aisles or down the fibre.
Yeah, I mean, you know how many heart attacks they get?
Well, exactly. Or, they're firing. But it's very difficult, Holy Holy, for a really loud rock gig... to go out and you're all like, and the audience all sitting there politely with their hands folded. It's quite disheartening.
Everybody stand up and you hear like 2,000 negs going. Mass cream. Let's get that on the album.
They can't stop them by the end. We have them up at the end.
We went to see a performer. I don't know, actually a little over a year ago by now. But real famous guy. He was big in the 60s, a lot of number one hits, and he looked good. And we went to say hi to him. We went into the dressing room. I know the guy, and we blah, blah, blah. Anyway, after the show, we went to see him, to say goodnight to him. And he's sitting on the couch with his girdle unzipped. And he looked like Buddha.
Oh, then it will hang out.
He couldn't move. He was so tired. But he must have been wearing an Iron Maiden. That's how tight this guy was pressed in. It was like it looked like he was a twin. I thought he had twins when I came back. And,
that's why you haven't told us who it is.
So I stopped going to shows.
It's just about get through the Holy Holy gigs, and then we'll get back to the hotel. My dad goes straight to bed.
That was a Bowie tune, right? Holy Holy.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Sorry? Yeah.
Yeah,
We're supposed to be going out next
and
April.
Woody Woodmansey on drums, isn't it?
Woody Woodmansey on drums,
Yeah.
Glenn Gregory
original,
on
yeah.
lead vocals.
Don't
Yeah.
say it out loud.
The thing is, these chaps, we did a few gigs with Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers, and he was great. He was great. He just had to take a bit longer between songs to get his breath back, but he was still giving it. His voice is still pow, and he's 80 and he
really
tries
good?
himself to gigs. Yeah, he's really good. So
How did you end? Usual bill, is it?
my agent,
Cliff Bennett.
one of my agents, plays guitar in his band, so he had us in to support, and then I got up at the end and joined the horn section on my sax and played what was it? That one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on, I'm coming. I'll tell you a great tune. Wait. I spoke to Bobby Whitlock from Derek and the Dominoes, and Bobby's first gig, he was the first white Stax record label artist. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Anyway, he said, Dave Porter and Isaac Hayes, they were a writing team, and Porter's in the bathroom one day, and Isaac says to him, he bangs on the door, and he says, come on, you got to get out of there. And Porter yells out, hold on, I'm coming. And Isaac says, I think we got a tune here. And they go, hold on, I'm coming.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's a great song.
Yeah, and that becomes superbly, or whatever the word is.
Yeah,
Ridiculous, incredible.
Yeah, that's how that song was written.
This is why musicians need to be in the real world, because this is where the songs come from. They don't come from being on tour.
I spoke to John Fiddler a couple of weeks ago. You know John from Medicine Head. He just released a single. It sounds better than anything he did over the past 50, 60 years. Incredible music. And
Is
he's
it on Spotify?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think it's called a Warriors of Love. Warriors of Love is the name of the tune. Great tune. And these older guys are still doing it. It's amazing.
Well, they've got the experience. I mean, I guess I fall in that category now. I'm probably not of a signable age anymore, but I've certainly got experience.
I want you to know something. You're the youngest and the first female on our show.
Yay! Flying the flag.
Give it for women! Come on!
The young female flag.
All the women out there, come on now!
Yeah.
I don't know. I think older musicians do. They have more experience. They're probably more confident on stage, and and I think they are winning because I mean, Robin Hitchcock started his own record label just now with his partner Emma, and our friends Brian Willoughby and Cathryn Craig. They've put their own music out. We do everything ourselves, and you're completely in control, and you don't give your money away for nothing, which is really quite gratifying.
You administer your mum's music, don't you? Is it Mary Hopkin's records or
Mary Hopkin music? Yeah, it's Hopkin no S. I've got to correct you on that. Hopkin no S.
Sorry, yeah. Right.
And also it's Bowie. It's Bowie as well. David Bowie.
Okay.
Not Bowie.
Yeah, Bowie. Yes. Bowie.
Do you have your own label as well, Jessica? Or
yes, we have Space Records. It's all so our company is Space Studios, which was our company when we had a studio in Cardiff. But it's basically we do Mary Hopkin music. We've got Space Records. We've also got Space Books. We've published a few of Chris's mum, Anne Thomas. She writes books as well. So it's basically anything that our family does. We can help them put it out there. Like you say, why not? Why not be self-published or family published?
Everybody else is.
Yeah, and it's good stuff. It's good if you believe in it, and people. And if 3 people buy your album and they say they like it, then you've won in my book. That's 30 quid that you can keep rather than having to give to a record label or recoup your advance or anything. Yeah,
it's a funny thing because the whole sort of stardom, and I always remember reading a feature of Marvin Gaye where he was sometimes saying about sometimes I don't want to release my music because it means then it gets out there and everybody has their own opinions about it. Jabber. And I think he was kind of saying, I mean, like What's Going On's obviously a classic album, but I mean, if they had only sold 2,000 copies, it wouldn't make it any less brilliant than it is. It's still Do you know what I mean? It's not just about sales, of course.
Yeah.
Sales, you know, I mean, it's sometimes that gets in the way of art, though. It really kind of deflects people away from what they maybe should have done.
You're talking about record sales. One of your dad's favorite albums of mine is by a band called Caravan. I don't know if you know Caravan. Yeah.
Caravan.
Carmen.
Carmen, yes.
Carmen, the gypsy music.
Yeah.
Carmen. Did you ever hear of Carmen?
Dancing in a Cold Wind. Yeah, fantastic. In fact, I told him one of these tracks on my first album, I said, can you do a Carmen?
They do a tune called Dance the Gypsy Dance, I think. It's the opening of the album. Great tune. It's incredible. You'll love it, Jim. It has a little...
They're nothing to do with a guy called Eric Carmen, are they?
No, not Eric. No, Carmen. Okay. They were gypsies, I believe.
Yeah.
Or they came across being gypsies anyway. That was... And I bought it because your dad's name was the producer on it, you know, back then.
Well, yeah, he loves... I mean, he's worked with so many... I mean, I wouldn't call them tiny artists, but lesser-known artists, and they're incredible talents. He'll work with anybody he believes in. You know, if he finds them good and they've got something to offer. I mean,
great album. It's an incredible album, and Carmen went on to do like 4 or 5 other albums, but that one was the one that kind of had the sound to it. Yeah, and, it's really good. Check it out, Jim. You'll be able to find it.
There's a lot of really good stuff that really. I remember that U2 had a record label before. I think it's called Mother Records, and they had a band on there called Engine Alley from Dublin, and they were fantastic. I went and saw some really grotty little gig in Hastings, and they were great, but they never happened, you know. Yeah. Split up a year later, but you know, there are those things, aren't they? Carmen sound like definitely worth a listen, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
it is different. Like so now you can make your album and put it out, and it's just you and your market.
Right.
You know, it can be that small. There's no fluff. You don't have to recoup your advances, and you can. And then if you sell 2,000 copies, that's amazing. If I sold 2,000 copies of anything, it'd be ecstatic because then there's no one else taking lumps out of your income, and you're in control. And if people discover you, that's great. I think we all have to reframe our expectations that it's not about selling 100,000 copies anymore. Because to do that takes an awful lot of hype. It takes a massive hype machine and a record label and billboard campaigns and TV campaigns. And, you know, that's not about the music. That's what my mum gave up. She said, it's not about the music. It's about being famous. She doesn't want to be that
all
person.
The other stuff.
Do you remember when U2 put that album out and forced it on everybody through iTunes?
Yeah, it still pops up on my
I
iTunes.
I never listened to it. Was it any good?
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I got it, but people were pissed.
I didn't.
People were pissed off because one day they woke up and they had a U2 album on iTunes.
That's not marketing.
So they gave it away for free and nobody wanted it.
Yeah. There is a thing about perhaps sometimes, well, it happens all across business. The more you charge, the more people will value what you do. If you give yourself away for nothing, then people will think you're worth nothing.
That's right.
It seems to have bollocks their career up. Well, it seems to.
I'm sure they're crying right now into their soup.
All the way to the vaults of their Swiss bank account, but it seemed to fuck them up a lot in the sense that I think people just thought, ugh. I think people get a bit sick of the Bono, Saint Bono thing anyway.
I'm sure they have a lot of devoted fans. My dad produced them did something with them. I remember we went to visit them in the hotel room, for the preliminary meeting. So us kids were tagging along for the weekend. Yeah. So I remember sitting on Bono's hotel bed watching Don't Wait Up while my dad had the business meeting in the other room.
I was managing a stadium at the time, and I had a little golf cart, and I'm going around the property. And we were doing U2. We were doing the Pop Tour. Remember the Pop Tour?
Oh, yeah.
That was huge. And,
loads of cars, German cars hanging about and all that.
No, that was a different one. This one was like from Target. The Target stores?
Yeah.
This was very popsy. Yeah, it was very popsy. And when I'm driving and I see somebody laying in a bush, so I stop my thing and I go over, and it's a Lars from Metallica.
Wow. What's he doing in a bush?
You know Lars?
Yes.
He was plastered. He was just laying in the bush. So he was with his wife at the time, who was a doctor. She was an MD.
Oh, thank God.
And she said, he had one too many. So I said, okay, help me. So we tossed him in the back of the cart, and I drive him into Bono's dressing room. You know, we take him down the ramp, and we tossed him out. I was like, yeah, so. Yeah,
I'm going to tell Chris that you like that.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
See, bring up Metallica.
Jessica, in a way, because I feel, you know, just not putting anything on me, but I feel happiest now the fact that, you know, as a writer and artist, I can publish ebooks and different platforms. I don't think they've evolved to where they're going to, where they could become maybe very multimedia and all that kind of stuff. Which would be interesting. But I like the fact that, you know, the more people involved, the more bullshit industry. I've met so many idiots in the music industry. I can't believe, you know, just talentless bullshitters, hustlers, you know, and they really can scope you out because they're good at glomming people. I think the American word is glomming, isn't it? Glomming suckers, you know. Well, it's old, wasn't it? Yeah, glomming the kids.
Well, I think you go to jail for that if you glom the kids, right? I think they have to be 18 or over or something like that.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though? It's great to have it, to be able to, if you've got talent, you know, and you feel you've got a vision, to be able to have that kind of control. If you've got enough money to keep going, I think that's a great place to be, really. You're not going to be rich, but you're going to be sort of artistically really rich, I think. And I think...
I mean, that's what success is. I keep saying, I wish I was more successful. And she said, well, you stand up on a stage and play a gig and people clap and then someone gives you a bit of money, even if it's only 50 quid. That's doing what you set out to do, isn't it? So
it's the same thing. It's not as magnified as it was back in the day where there was
And fans are much more aware of how to support their favourite artists now. You know, we've got Patreon and we've got, you know, just direct to fan stuff, so it's easier now.
Do you do crowdfunding for stuff, or?
No, I haven't needed to because I don't have massive studio costs. So basically, I can make an album for nothing, right here in the studio. And Chris, I'm lucky enough. Well, we're blessed to have Chris on our team because he works for Room and Board. He's putting fingers up at me right now. But then we just have to pay. Is that the one
in shackles you told me about? He's in the corner in shackles and chains.
My shackles? No, he's wonderful. And then we just have to make the CD. So we only have to pay for, you know, the CD manufacturing. And now I've just discovered that you can do pre-orders. I can ask fans for money before I order the CDs, and they go, take my money. Well, my mum's fans particularly.
That's good though.
They go, take my money. We pay for the CDs. Then I put them all in envelopes, send them out, and it's great because all the money's ours now. We don't have to pay.
Brilliant. Yeah,
people who you think, I've asked people to do stuff for me in the past, you know, business things, and I think, well, that's not what I asked you to do, or they take 5 times longer, or they just annoy you in the process.
Or you get 25 cents for every CD you sell, you know?
Yeah. Whereas now we get 80% of it. Oh, the mastering guy. That's right. Chris is out. We've had the same manufacturer and mastering guy, two separate guys. He lives in the wilderness in Wales. He's a lovely guy. He's very sensitive, very, very expert. And we've got a lovely little team. So mastering, manufacturing, and Royal Mail for postage is brilliant.
Sorry, go on, Elliot.
Let me ask you about your career. How would you actually did go through a couple of phases now, right? You started out a little more heavier than you are now, right? Music-wise?
Musically?
Yeah.
Possibly, I did more program production, but the next album might be more back to that as well, put more programs.
Yeah, because I just kind of gave you stuff a quick listen to, and I noticed your early days, it wasn't as, you know, pretty and light as it is towards the end.
Oh, interesting.
And I kind of like what you're doing now. It's less. It's like looking at something pretty without all the makeup on it. You know.
Oh, it's raw.
Yeah, I kind of like that. It's really. I like your new style. I do, whatever that's.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional that way. It's just that's the way because we've been playing, you know, live shows much more, and that's how we come across. And so I notice when people buy our CDs, they go, "I want that song you played. What was the third song you played?" And I go, "Oh, it's here on this one." So they go, "Right, I have that," and they want to take home the bit of you that they've just heard. They don't, you know, this is much more produced.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possibly why I haven't worked with my dad since then, even though he keeps saying, let me help you with your album.
That could be because, you know, I like Robert Hitchcock too. So it's more on that level.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
More folk feel, yeah, more organic.
Yeah, not even. I hate that term folk. Acoustic.
Acoustic, yeah.
Acoustic. Yeah, because that folk stuff, that crap nearly caught on in the 60s. Folk music was, banjos.
I still get references to troubadour and things like that. They sound like I've come from the, they say, oh, this song sounds like she's in the troubadour or whatever, which is a great compliment.
Yeah, there is some great folk music. I was joking about that, but your stuff is more acoustic, and it's really nice. It's kind of Jackie Levin type stuff, and
right.
Yeah, and Robin Hitchcocky and that kind of thing, and
wonderful.
I think for you personally, hey, but I'm the guy who thought that Journey would never make it, so what do I know?
They almost didn't.
I'm foreigner.
Columbia were going to drop them after the 3 progressive psych albums.
Well, I don't know. Chris and I have been writing together.
Sorry, go on, Justin.
The stuff that Chris and I are writing together is really quite heavy. His EP, which he put out this year, he's working on the next one now, but it's obviously really heavy because that's what he likes. And we've written a few together. I think I'd like to go heavier. I'd like to go. I loved 80s, 90s rave music. I was a big raver.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff.
Really heavy on the programming and beats.
Yeah. I mean, I like that stuff too.
Yeah. But so I don't know.
But I think your voice, what you're doing now, just kind of suits you great.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's a good mix.
I'm a very no nonsense kind of person, and I think that as well. It's just like do what it takes to get the song across. That's the motto, really.
Well, you
don't overdress it.
Your dad would know how to produce that. Yeah, if he wants to work with you again, he did a lot.
The funny thing is, I go to my dad and I say right. Oh well, Tony Visconti's going to produce me, so he'll come up with something. In my head, it's something like avant-garde, like the Low album or something. But then, but what he'll look at me and in his head it'll be like Mary Hopkin or Nana Mouskouri or Elaine Page, because So then I end up with the sweet. He's got a very sweet taste in music as well. He loves wonderful vocals and and like the strings and stuff. So he can do all that stuff. So unless I'm very clear about what I want, but also the other fact is that he's insanely busy. So my projects get obviously put to the back because he's got to take the other stuff. So I don't know. We should work together again, really.
Definitely.
I should take advantage of it.
Is Tony in New York? Is New York?
Yeah. He has a room in my brother's studio. I mean, he's the only one in the studio at the moment. Everyone else is working from home. But that's where Bowie when we were out there. So I got to bring the coffee in and say hi to David in this little room. Yeah. So but he's also he's got involved with the Visconti studio in Kingston University in West London, and it's a beautiful big octagonal room. And he worked on he produced Ralph McTell's last album a couple of years ago. So so I went along and did some backing vocals there, and then my mum did some, but she did. And then I sang with Ralph at Festival Hall a year later, which was lovely. So so we have worked together, and my dad was very proud. He's very proud of the way I picked things up quickly in the studio.
Yeah. What's the deal with the studio in a university? What's that?
Well, they had this room for a long time, and the studio, and they have a music course there. But I don't know how they got it together. They just thought it'd be a good match to have Tony as as a head visiting professor, or I don't know what they call him. But he got doctored. We had a whole doctor ceremony, and they put the hat on. He got doctored. I shouldn't say Chris is losing his shit. They made him a doctor, so he's now Dr. Visconti. So they had a whole ceremony. Yeah.
Do you have to call him doctor when we eventually?
I have to doff my cap and walk out of the room backwards every time I see him now.
Jessica, is there any that you really like and love and that you listen to that you'd like to tell people about? Just throw the spotlight onto some other new or emerging or established or whatever,
I don't listen to anything. It's appalling. Yeah, I don't know. I love it. Like doing these recent gigs at the castles and everything. You get to see the other acts on the bill, which is always lovely. And that's the only time I really pay attention to live music is the other guys. And the talent was awesome. A couple of amazing guitarists, and we met Damien Wilson.
That name sounds
familiar. No one has really caught my ear, I must admit, but then I kind of gave up listening. So I'd end up listening to older stuff, or I'd try and refresh my memory. I found Robert Plant and Alison That's lovely.
Oh yeah.
So I do tend to go backwards a lot, which isn't very good. But every time I turn on the radio, like you say, I just don't get it anymore. Even the singer-songwriters,
because it's so weird. It's so.
I don't like the sound.
There's no soul. There's no spirit or something.
No, I don't. Even when they get just one person and a guitar, they still manage to sanitize it to such a degree that it's not real anymore. You know,
is
that
it all
vocal
the
is not.
quantizing that they do you think?
Yeah, you can tell
making
with an experienced ear. It's quantized, it's auto-tuned, it's comped. You know that you won't get a line that goes from beginning to end, or even a whole verse. You'll get a vocal that's been cut up phrase by phrase, which you should only really have to do with a really crappy singer.
And there's no bridge. There's just no bridge.
There's no bridge. You see the bridge? I use the bridge or the middle eight, I call it, to turn the song around. Like you'll pose the problem here, you'll sum it up in the chorus.
You did that really well on the opening track on the new album, Forthright. I thought on there's
the packing up song.
It changes after that sort of kind of staccato way of singing, and then it just changes into a more poppy feel, you know. I mean, it's really funny. I remember once I asked Chris Stifford from Squeeze a question about production. And I said to him, they had an album out called Some Fantastic Place. And I said to him, how does the song sort of build, but not just, like people put a bit more into it and then they go into the verse and then they build in the bridge. And he said that, because that was produced by Bob Clearmountain, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yes.
And and that's the kind of vibe I got from, the reason I'm saying this is because this track, you wrote the first track on the record, bit about being on the road. And he said, Bob Clearmountain uses compression to build and open songs. And I didn't quite fully know what he meant by that. But that's the kind of vibe I've got of you, like the song sort of suddenly went slightly to a different direction and opened up a bit more in a sort of poppy way, hooky sort of way. I'm really going to listen to that a couple of times again after we finish speaking. And sorry, go on.
I think they used to call it the gate. The compression thing. You opened up the gate, and what you did was you it was more like a treble sound, more of a treble setting. You just add a little more treble to it, and it would just open up a little, you know.
Well, that's what they do for a radio mix, and that's what you hear now in pop vocals. They put this frequency at the top, and it's like and it really cuts through and
sibilant kind of.
There's no head on it anymore. There's no place to go. Back then, they used it sparingly. They'd start here and bring it up a little. Now they start here, and there's nowhere to go. They top it.
The loudness wars was a big thing for a while, wasn't it? Albums being really overcooked.
Yeah.
Really
well, that's why we like our mastering engineer, because he's when we first went to him, he said, "How loud do you want it?" And we said, "Just loud enough." And he went, "Oh, thank God! Right, we can work together." Because he'd get asked to, they call it brick wall limiting, and it's just to be the loudest, and it sounds flat, and it sounds like it's been squashed.
And there's no place to go. There's no place to go.
Pressed to pieces,
But that's the radio, and the radio is full of it. So we've been caught out a couple of times where someone says, we'll play your song on the radio, and we haven't got a radio mix or a radio master or anything. And it does, against all the other stuff, sometimes it can lack the same power, but I just thought, I'm not playing this game anymore. There's my album.
Oral exciting, exciting the mix so much.
Yeah.
In fact, there are plugins. They're called exciters. Oral exciters.
Oral exciters. Yeah. I mean, it's a kind of an I find the whole thing of production. We're going to try and get Kit Wolven on here at some stage. And,
yes.
Because I met him that day and stayed in touch with him. Just a really lovely guy, and he told me a few things about Phil Lynott and and your dad and working on scary monsters and stuff like that. So, that's a whole other science scene, which is amazing. And have you learned, just to kind of wrap things up fairly soon, have you learned a lot about that side of things? Because you said you tend to want to go in, do it and come out.
Have
you learned more about the actual science of balance, putting a mix together, a sound picture, all that kind of stuff? Or?
Oh, well, yes, I think, I understand all that, definitely. I could do it on my own if I had the patience, and obviously
really,
I have to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
On I Am Not, all the songs that Tony produced or mixed, all the songs that Morgan had mixed, all the electronic ones, I'd programmed them all myself. So the structure was there and the arrangement was there. So I know what makes a good mix. But I haven't got the patience to fine tune, so that's where Chris has the patience to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But definitely, I know I used to pay attention as much as possible as to what, made a good sound. And my dad has told me some of his tricks over the years. But he says, at the end of the day, you have to have a good song and some talent.
Exactly.
And you can then record it on a dictaphone and release that, and it will sound great. Or you can have someone who's utter crap, and you can give them all the production you can throw at them, and they'll still be crap, but it will be a good production. So you have to decide where you're starting off, really. And
I think the old maxim: if the song sounds good on acoustic, bare acoustic, bare vocals, then you've got
Let me digress. Remember we were talking about famous last names. If you would have used the last name, there was Joe. What's his name? The guitarist, Joe Bonamassa.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
He had a band called Bloodline. Do you remember that band?
No, I don't.
No, not me. No.
Okay, this was who was in the band. I have it written down here. You had Aaron Hagar, Sammy Hagar's son. Wait, you had Waylon Krieger, who was Robbie Krieger's son. You had Barry Oakley Jr., from the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
Barry Oakley. And the drummer was Aaron Davis, Miles Davis's son.
Oh, Jesus. Poor buggers.
The name of the band was Bloodline.
Yeah.
And it went nowhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It went nowhere.
It went nowhere, yeah.
Was it any good? Any good?
I'm sorry?
Was it any good?
Probably good.
I don't know. I never heard it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
John Congus's sons have a band called Congus. John wrote Step On, the Happy Mondays.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was weird.
John Congus is a friend of the family, and my mum recorded one of his songs, and his 4 sons are in a band called Congus. I mean, I don't know. I've often joked about this. Could form a band with Malcolm Bruce and Danny Harrison, and but actually nobody's interested in the kid. I think until the parents are dead, we often have a joke. Probably after my parents have popped off, I'll be well in demand because they can't get to them. But while they're alive, they think they can get to them through me, and then I have to say, well, So it's really hard. So we just have to do what we do and be true to ourselves. But
I thought that Bruce son and Baker's son and somebody else had done
Eric Clapton's cousin, Eric Clapton's cousin or nephew or something.
Yeah,
really, it's what it is. Eric Clapton's nephew, I think, or something.
It's the something of Cream, the Sound of Cream or something like that. And I don't think it ended well. I think Malcolm and
the
Baker, Kofi, is it Kofi Baker? I think they
Kofi.
fell out.
Yeah.
Musical differences, but I met Malcolm.
Musical differences that they're playing their parents' songs.
There was some.
Well, if he's inherited Ginger Baker's genes, then
there was
music
some
differences equals. Let me get away from this guy as soon as possible.
But you've got to try. I mean, I do live shows here, and I say, tonight we're going to play all my dad's songs, and that's when he tunes in, checks up on me. And, we're doing the holy stuff. It's great. But, we've got Woody and Tony in the band. So as we say, we're not a tribute band. I couldn't do it on my own. It would be a whole different ball game. But while Tony's around, while people come and see him, and while Woody's around, we'll just do it. And we have fun.
You remember Wilson Phillips?
Yeah, they were great though, weren't they?
They had their moments.
And probably all these artists, they're still working. They're probably making a fortune songwriting, behind the scenes or something like that.
Yeah.
There's so many of these people.
Maybe. I mean, they had great vocals. I didn't think all the songs were great with them, but
but they were nice pop songs.
Slick LA stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, but still good. There was still
it wasn't
juice in there, wasn't there?
They did a whole album of their parents' songs, though, didn't they? I think they did an album of like Beach Boys and Mamas and Papas stuff.
Yeah, we all do it. Yeah. Chris and I were asked to play at a Beatles Day in Belgium. That was fun. And I say, you're not going to get Mary on a stage anymore, so it's me. So I sang them, and we had these grown men, big gruff record collectors sitting in the front crying their eyes out. And they said,
really?
Wow. Never thought I would hear that song live. We played Sparrow that she recorded, and they loved it. And then they all ran off to my record stall that I had there, and they just wanted everything. So
it's amazing now because that's the new trend. I spoke to some people about it. I'm really friendly with the old Turtles, Flo and Eddie. And Howard Kalin's not on the road anymore. He's sick.
Yeah.
So the guy from the Archies is filling in for him. The guy who sang Sugar Sugar. Ron Dante. And nobody cares that it's not the original guys anymore. They're just happy seeing somebody up there singing happy together.
Yeah.
You know, look at Fleetwood Mac. You know, Buckingham's gone, you know.
I know, and they brought Neil Finn.
Yeah, they brought one of the Finn brothers in.
I love the Crowded House, but
I love the Finn. I've been listening to the Finn brothers since Split Ends.
Oh, they're lovely.
What's his name from Tom Petty's band? Campbell is playing guitar. Nobody cares that it's not the original guys anymore. They just want to hear their music live.
Yeah. Everyone will find the audience.
That's why cover bands are doing so well. It doesn't matter that it's a cover band. I mean, there was one time when, when Steve Perry left Journey, that there was a cover band making more money than the actual Journey out there was.
Yeah.
Because
they don't age then, do they? Like I sing with a Led Zeppelin tribute act. They're called Coda Led Zeppelin, and they brought me in to do the Sandy Denny part on Battle of Evermore. So I just get up, sing that song. It's great. I just have the one song. Wow. They are, they're a replica band. They look the part. The lead singer, well, they're all very, very talented, and it's a great show because you're never going to get Led Zeppelin ever.
And now I don't know if you have this in the UK, but in America, there's Les Zeppelin, which is a lesbian band.
I've seen them. They're awesome. Yes, I saw Jimmy Page saw them. It was in the same room.
Did you ever see Little Kiss?
No.
Little Kiss is a bunch of dwarfs dressed up as Kiss out there doing Kiss tunes. Little Kiss. Wait, it gets better. How about Dred Zeppelin?
Yes.
Dred Zeppelin happens to be great. They're
very
pretty
big,
good.
yeah.
And that's supposedly a paid. That's
Reggae
Jimmy.
Zeppelin,
But it's Jimmy Page's favorite cover band, Zeppelin cover band. They're great though. It's the reggae band with an Elvis impersonator singing leads.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing what's going on. But Little Kiss is the best. I mean, these guys are, all in makeup, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, of course, Hayseed Dixie is very popular over here.
Yeah,
Hillbilly ACDC.
Yep.
Jessica, if just to kind of round out here, if anybody wants to kind of get into your career more, wants to see your live gigs more, wants to keep up on you, how can we direct them to your to the world of Jessica Lee Morgan?
I have my
you've
very
got all
own
these strands going on here, haven't you? Really?
I do. Well, I just redid my website this year. Handcrafted, artisanally crafted. No, it's not W anymore. It's jessicaleemorgan.com.
Oh right, nice and
all the
nice
gig dates, the CDs. Yeah, nice and simple. My
and
biography.
Is where you do your shows from too.
No, the shows have links on there to YouTube. It's the YouTube channel is jlmsings.com.
Okay, brilliant.
So they can watch that on a Tuesday night. I don't know what we'll be doing next year, but for now it's every Tuesday night at 8:00 UK time, and they stay up for a little while so they can watch it through the week.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Do join us, and they can also give us money.
JessicaLeeMorgan.com and Jessica
JLMsings.com.
Right, fantastic.
But it's all linked on the website. Yes, very easy.
Yeah. Well, look, this has been really great for me. I really enjoyed this, Elliot.
Yeah.
And Jessica, thank you so much
for
coming today and letting us.
Hope you enjoyed your time with Jessica Lee Morgan, Jim McCarthy and Elliot. Remember to check out some of the other podcasts. Not Your Mother's Radio thanks you for listening. Stay safe.
Not Your Mother's Radio is listener funded. If you wish to assist and help keep the station active, funds can be sent via PayPal to Elliot. Is not your mother at gmail.com. Remember, there is only one L and one T in Elliot. Thank you for your assistance. It is appreciated.
This has been a Not Your Mother's Radio production.